a series of disgusting acts near the CU Boulder campus.
I was absolutely just like mind blown that our house had just been broken into.
Tonight, students are relieved as police take a suspect into custody.
We haven't slept like all week because we didn't know if this guy was going to come back.
From the pandemic to labor shortages, it's been a tough stretch for Colorado restaurants.
Definitely heartbreaking.
How new data is providing hope for an industry hit hard by the pandemic.
Plus, 3 days out for the Broncos' big showdown in Seattle, Hall of Famer Steve Atwater tells us how he thinks Russell Wilson will handle his return to his old home.
CU Boulder students breathing a sigh of relief tonight as police arrest a teen accused of a series of disgusting acts.
Police say the suspect broke into 3 apartments last weekend as women slept inside, and twice victims woke up to him performing lewd acts near them. A third victim woke up to him touching her in a sexual manner.
As Denver 7's CB Cotton found out, the suspect has a history of similar crimes.
Detectives say the teen who is now charged has a pattern to his crimes. Back in 2021, the DA says he pleaded guilty to indecent exposure. Now, officers have charged him with the same crime once again. This Friday night, college fun resumes with less anxiety.
Nice weight off of all of our shoulders.
But CU Boulder student Addie felt much different earlier this week as Boulder police worked to identify this person captured on surveillance video. The person police say is responsible for breaking into 3 University Hill apartments over Labor Day weekend and performing lewd acts while women slept inside. Addie says she lives in one of the apartment buildings and knows a victim.
Like, she was kind of in and out of sleep, and then he ended up like masturbating in her face. And then at that point, she really woken up and she held up her phone and said, "If you don't leave right now, I'm calling 911.
Now, officers say the suspect is a 17-year-old. Because the suspect is a juvenile, Boulder police can't identify him, but they did identify a pattern leading to the teen's arrest.
Detectives did find similarities between this case and a 2021 case involving indecent exposure, where a juvenile was charged with 7 misdemeanor charges relating to those indecent exposures.
Boulder police say on Thursday evening, as officers surveilled the teen's home, they took him into custody for violating his probation stemming from the 2021 case.
A search warrant was executed at his residence in the city of Boulder, where items of evidence linking the suspect to the recent crimes were discovered.
He came into her window, he went through all of her stuff, he took some of her used underwear, some of her pajama bottoms.
Now, the teen suspect faces a handful of new charges.
3 counts of second-degree burglary, 2 counts of indecent exposure, 1 count of attempted invasion of privacy for sexual gratification, 1 count of unlawful sexual contact, and 1 count of aggravated motor vehicle theft.
We found out later that night that he'd stolen her car. I mean, she's a lot better now that he's in custody and he's not a standing threat to us anymore, but it was definitely very, very terrifying.
Boulder County District Attorney Michael Doherty says the case could remain in the juvenile system, but his office will also evaluate whether the teen should be tried as an adult. He says officers are still investigating whether or not the teen's parents knew their son was violating conditions of his probation. In Boulder, I'm CB Cotton, Denver 7.
Boulder police believe there could be more victims. They're urging anyone with information to come forward.
Developing tonight, the Justice Department and former President Trump's lawyers have submitted their proposals for who should serve as special master to review material seized from Mar-a-Lago last month and the scope of that person's duties. I read the parties' joint filing this evening, and in it, DOJ nominates 2 retired judges, Thomas Griffith, a Bush appointee, and Barbara Jones, appointed by Clinton. The Trump team nominates retired Judge Raymond Dearie, a Reagan appointee, and Paul Huck Jr., a former Florida Deputy Attorney General. Now, the 2 sides differ on the role the special master should play, and no word yet on when a decision on the special master will be made.
Crews are making progress on a wildfire burning north of Fort Collins in Larimer County. The sheriff's office says that the CR-21 fire near Ted's Place is now 50% contained. All evacuation orders have been lifted. They also say better mapping shows the fire at 212 acres and not the 600 acres as reported last night. Crews will continue to monitor the fire overnight and into the morning.
And firefighters are getting a nice assist from Mother Nature in the form of much cooler temperatures here.
Chief Meteorologist Mike Nelson checking back in with us with our first look at our forecast. Mike, these cooler temperatures, though, aren't going to stick around for too long.
No, we get about a day and a half of them, but it's definitely cool out there now. 50 up in Fort Collins and Greeley, 52 in Denver, 45 at Laramie and Cheyenne. Still warm out west, but look how much colder we are than we were this time last night. 33 degrees lower at the moment here in Denver. That's courtesy of this cold front that's slipping southwestward across the state. There are some scattered showers down over southern Colorado and some very light areas of rain farther to the north, which is great news up in that fire area. An extra blanket night tonight, showers and fog expected, cloudy and cool Saturday, but quickly it comes back to being warmer and drier Sunday and Monday. Your full forecast in 15 minutes.
Thank you, Mike. Along with the Colorado gubernatorial and Senate races, voters statewide will decide on 11 ballot initiatives when they go to the polls in November. Let's take a closer look at a few. Proposition 121 has to do with income taxes. It will ask voters if the state tax income rate should be reduced from 4.55% to 4.4%. There are also measures concerning alcohol sales. Proposition 125, if passed, would allow grocery stores, convenience stores, and other businesses licensed to sell beer to also sell wine for off-site consumption. And Proposition 126, if approved by voters, would allow licensed businesses to contact third-party services to deliver alcohol beverages. Election Day is Tuesday, November 8th.
The 616 border-to-border bike ride continues tomorrow. And this evening, riders stopped at Johnstown Shields, where Shield 616 presented vests and ballistic protection kits to 10 emergency agencies.
Yeah, I think it's great. Hopefully we never need it, but it's always good to be as prepared as possible in case you unfortunately have to. So it's great to have.
So these cyclists tomorrow will travel from Johnstown to Fort Morgan as they head to the Nebraska border. The ride raises money for police and first responders, and donations can be made on the Shield 616 website.
Between the pandemic, labor shortages, and supply chain issues, the past 2.5 years have been a tumultuous time for Colorado's restaurant industry.
But tonight there is some encouraging news. New data shows that for the first time, reservations are consistently higher than pre-pandemic levels.
Denver 7's Rob Harris tells us what this rebound in customers means for local restaurants, even as other challenges continue.
For Unjit Hardacre, this bustling kitchen is her dream come true.
You have to do what you love. I love to cook. I love food.
But this dream almost came to an end. Daughter Thai Kitchen opened just months before the COVID-19 pandemic rocked the entire restaurant industry.
Just sad, like in the first 2 days, just sad, like what is happened? We just opened the business.
In the early months of the pandemic, there were worries that COVID-19 would permanently shut Daughter Thai's doors. But the customers were supportive. And even when only takeout orders were the option, they showed up.
You know what? We got the tip like $1,000 for 1 week because people, like our customer and people feel for us.
The ride back to normal has been a bumpy one, but the trajectory has been up since in-person dining reopened. The turnaround has been most visible this summer. Data from the online reservation system OpenTable shows that for the first time, reservations have consistently exceeded pre-pandemic numbers. In Colorado, they're up 26% from 2019.
Definitely bigger parties, not just only a couples dining in, but much bigger parties, 15 to 20. We even just booked a 40 people dinner next weekend.
Business is sizzling again for Daughter Thai Kitchen, and for Unjit Hardacre, who grew up in the rice fields of Thailand, it's the culmination of the American dream.
I feel great. I have to say thank you and appreciate all my customers. They encourage me to keep going and not give up.
This return of customers is definitely awesome news for restaurants, but there are still some pandemic challenges that are sticking around, like labor shortages, supply chain issues, and inflated prices for the things that they need. And that's why Unjit Hardacre, in addition to running her own restaurant, finds herself helping out in the kitchen most nights. For Denver 7, I'm Rob Harris.
Encouraging news there. All right, this is as good a time as any to remind you Denver 7 is your home for the Broncos season opener. Big night, the showdown in Seattle. Our pregame coverage begins at 5 p.m., kickoff at 6:15, and then a very special postgame show right after the game.
People all over the world tonight continuing to remember and honor the life and legacy of Queen Elizabeth II.
At St. Paul's Cathedral in London, thousands paid tribute to the late Queen while looking forward to the future under King Charles III. And in his first speech as King, King Charles expressed profound sorrow over his mother's death and vowed to carry on her legacy of service.
As the Queen herself did with such unswerving devotion, I too now solemnly pledge myself, throughout the remaining time God grants me, to uphold the constitutional principles at the heart of our nation.
Queen Elizabeth died yesterday at the age of 96. Her 70 years on the throne, the longest ever by a British monarch. And while Charles became king the moment his mother passed away, he won't officially be proclaimed king until tomorrow, and his coronation won't happen for another year or so. Funeral services for the Queen will be held at Westminster Abbey following a 10-day mourning period. And today, President Biden confirmed he will be there. On the brink of being forced to the streets.
I'm just wondering where we're going to go.
Tonight, people living in this Denver hotel pleading for help before it closes.
Plus, we're getting you ready for the Broncos season opener on Monday. Nate Hackett opens up on the environment they'll face in Seattle.